Today we're at one of the most iconic spots in England. I love it. Glastonbury Tor. Glastonbury's famous now for rock concerts and spiritually engaged people. At the foot of the hill are two springs, and nearby there's an abbey, there's a thriving town with a lot of new age and spiritual and Viking shops and all sorts of unusual shops. But towering above it is the Tor. So the Tor isn't actually the tower, it's a conical hill of blue lias and clay that rises from the surrounding Somerset levels. This is the area that used to be the Isles of Avalon. The sea would seasonally flood, and over time it eroded the surrounding area, and there are three large hills. These hills were islands, the Isles of Avalon. If you've heard the Roxy Music song Avalon, it's about here. Or Jerusalem, when it says, "And did those feet in ancient times walk upon England's pastures green?" This is the pastures green. This is the Isles of Avalon. The myth tells us that the hill opposite is where Joseph of Arimathea landed. And when he planted his staff on the ground, it grew into and flowered as the holy thorn. Well, it may well be a myth, but there are several cuttings that have grown into full-blown trees, which are hundreds of years old. And it does flower on Easter and Christmas every year. A little sprig from it is put on the monarch's breakfast table. There is something spiritual and different about Glastonbury, but we'll probably cover that whole story of Joseph of Arimathea another time. The Tor here is a very steep hill. It's a good walk. I've been up it 3 or 4 times, and you're a bit out of breath by the time you get to the top. The hill itself has been linked to Arthur. That hasn't everything in this part of the world. Archaeological digs have shown that it was inhabited during the Roman and Anglo-Saxon period, and even back to the Iron Age. But churches were built here probably in the 10th or 11th century, and a wooden church was destroyed by an earthquake in 1275, so they built a stone church of St. Michael on the same site in the 14th century. Now it's just the tower remaining, a sad echo of the former church. There's no sign on the ground of where the church would have been. You just see this empty tower with openings on either side. And if you come at night, you'll find the sunset, people drumming and dancing and singing and feeling the energy of the place. I'm not a hippie, but there's certainly a hippie experience to being up here at sunset. And it's a very commanding view. You can see the town down below you, and you can see right the way to the sea. As the sun sets, it falls behind the Quantock Hills, and you can see the ribbon of light along the horizon. It's a really special place. It's very beautiful, and we don't really know the whole history. Even the name Glastonbury, it suggested it was the people of Gloucester, but we don't know who Gloucester was. What I'd love to see is the Fata Morgana, which is the dampness of the low-lying land forms a mist, and the Tor and the church tower seem to emerge from the mist like something out of Excalibur. Viewing the Tor from one of the nearby hills, you can see those ridges there along the side. And there's more than one, there's quite a few ridges. And they haven't actually been able to explain how these ridges were formed. There's a lot of geological questions, but no real answers. I've been to Glastonbury a few times now, and always try to go up the Tor, but there's nowhere quite like it in England. There's a feeling of spirituality about the town. You might dismiss it as a bit hippie, and it's certainly a bit alternative. But this has been a place of worship and a special place to many people for millennia. Maybe Joseph of Arimathea didn't come here. Maybe it was just a nice defensible point. But people have lived here for well over 2,000 years and certainly buried and inhabited this land. And it's definitely somewhere you should go. I climbed it 3 times in 24 hours, and each time is a very different experience. But sunset, where the sun kisses the horizon and falls down behind the hills in the distance, and those hippies are there to dance, and the music drums, and you feel the centuries of history here, and obviously bad photos as well. But it's well worth a visit, and really it deserves more answers to those questions. We're going to be back to talk about Joseph of Arimathea and the Grail myth, but if you don't subscribe, you might miss out.